Hello and welcome to A Star to Steer Her By, a Star Trek podcast.
Ooh.
This is episode 210.
Ooh.
My name is Jake, and I'm joined today by...
Chris.
Oh, sorry, I was distracted. I think I kind of need to go,
That
take a few minutes in the lavatory with...
Sensuous voice.
God, this is Chris.
This is Ames.
And this is Caitlin.
This afternoon we'll be talking about 2 episodes of Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
No, now you've lost the sensuousness. Now you just sound like a soft jazz DJ.
Why do you keep interrupting him?
Yeah, why don't you fuck off, asshole?
Oh, I'll go masturbate then.
Good. The
Yikes.
sensuousness is back.
I'm already masturbating.
Balancing your checkbook.
You can't, that's why I have the camera positioned like this.
So what episodes are we masturbating to this week?
Well, actually, the episodes we'll be jerking off to today are Favor the Bold
Ooh.
and Sacrifice of Angels, which is also what I'd call my orgasms.
Oh, God.
Every time a Jake orgasms, an angel gets its wings.
Oh my.
An angel gets sacrificed.
So although these 2 episodes have 2 different titles, it is really a 2-parter, as there's no
I'd say
real
sneaky.
separation between them.
I'd say sneaky, but also it's the culmination of kind of this 6-parter.
Yeah.
That's true. It is kind of, it's kind of finishing up what we started in the last several episodes.
Speaking of finishing up.
Hey. All right, so where to begin?
James, that was good. Sorry, I was just such a late reaction. I was slow burn on that one. Sorry, go ahead.
So to begin in Favor the Bold, if you'll recall, half of our crew is on Starbase Sasa or on the Defiant, and some of them are still on Terok Nor.
Still love hearing that.
Oh my. So at any rate, our heroes, Federation heroes, are, they're engaging in their battle, and they fight a little battle with the Jem'Hadar, and they do a little sneaky thing with the Rotaran, and then they get called back. They're learning that they're being asked to retreat, and everyone's a little dejected because it seems that is sort of the tenor of this war, so to speak, wherein, fighting a battle, perhaps having a small victory, but then still withdrawing. So we are pulled back to the starbase. Dax is a little pissed about this, so she goes to give Captain Sisko a piece of her mind. And he's having none of it because, in fact, he's about to make a presentation to Starfleet Command to let them know.
A PowerPoint presentation?
A PPT, that's right. He's going to do a PPT to tell them about his great plan to take back Deep Space Nine.
I think you mean
exciting.
Terok Nor.
No, I don't.
Seats face mine, more like.
So anyway, that's going to happen. Meanwhile, on the space station, Odo is teaching the female changeling all about being a female solid by giving her a solid piece of his penis.
Yeah, I didn't need to know any of this.
Dude, I know we'll get there, but why?
I don't know.
Why?
It was sexual enough as it was.
So needless to say, Kira and Quark are trying to get his attention because Rom is in prison and has been sentenced to death.
Yay!
But when they
arguably, it's all Odo's fault.
Arguably, it emphatically is. But go on, Jake.
Yeah, please. Thank you. However, when they go to try to confront Odo about it, there's guards and they're like, listen, he's been in there for 3 days. Can't you smell it?
Oh!
And,
yes.
And yeah, definitely a bit of a stank in that hallway. So they can't see Odo. So, Kira tries talking to various people about, getting Rom off the hook. She tries to get Zial to deal with it. She tries to talk to Gul Dukat, and Gul Dukat's like, honey, I love you, but I can't do it. I can't, I don't have that kind of power.
What is this Dukat
I'm Gul
voice?
Dukat from Brooklyn.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so essentially it's not going all that well for our intrepid heroes. Geez, I can't really remember all the details of what happened in this episode, but needless to say, turns out, Damar does another drunken tell Quark the plan maneuver. Didn't learn his lesson the last time. He lets Quark know that, actually the minefield plan is working, and it's actually going to bring down the minefield even sooner than anyone expected. In fact, it's going to be down in a week. Isn't that nice? So Quark shares this information with Kira, and she's like, well, fuck, what do? We got to tell the Federation that this is happening. What can we do? Well, it just so happens that Morn is about to leave the station to go to his mother's birthday party.
Happy birthday!
And he's wrapping a gift, so they sneakily write on the gift wrap, hey, minefield's coming down, you guys better show up and do something about that.
And happy birthday.
And happy birthday to Morn's mom. And then, so next scene we see, Admiral Ross and Sisko are reading the tea leaves, reading the message. And the Starfleet, who had been skeptical of this whole thing from the beginning, is like, all right, well, I guess we better shit now or get off the pot.
So they shit everywhere.
They shit everywhere. But unfortunately, there is no, they're not going to be able to get their full fighting force in there in time. So it's going to be a reduced fleet. Gowron, in true Gowron fashion, is being a piece of shit about it and doesn't want to send any ships. Worf and Martok go off to try and convince him.
How many eyes? How many eyes will he send?
All of them. All of their eyes. Yeah, so anyway, at this point, though, they kind of got a shit or get off the pot, so they decide, well, we'll just go in with our reduced fleet and hope for the best. Nog, meanwhile, has been promoted to an ensign, so...
Yeah, that's what this episode could have been named. Instead of favor the bold, hope for the best.
Yeah. Yeah, so that all happens.
Is this where part 2 picks up?
And so then we're about to engage the fleet. There's about to be a big battle, and dun dun dun, to be continued now. So we have our battle. It goes okay. It's a space battle. Not much else happening there. Sisko does manage to break through the line in the Defiant, and we get to Terok Nor, but just in time to watch the minefield be completely exploded.
Damn it, Rom.
Yeah, because I forgot to mention that Quark and Zial managed to spring Rom and Kira and Jake Sisko, who had all been arrested at this point, from the holding cells. And then Kira and Rom went off to try and disable the ship's computer, which would have also disabled the ability for them to take down the minefield. They did manage to take down the computer, but not before they could destroy the minefield. So womp womp. There's a big fight on the station, and hey, look at this. Odo shows up and takes down some Jem'Hadar.
He's done masturbating?
Yeah, he finally ran out of 30 years of changeling spunk.
God.
And, had that moment of clarity. And was like, oh shit, I fucked everything up. So, the tide of the battle turns.
I've been in here for 3 days. Takes a smell.
Yes.
The Defiant, meanwhile, Sisko's like, shit, the minefield's down. We're going to get fucked any second now. Well, I guess we might as well fly into the wormhole and take a last stand inside
Sisko's
the wormhole.
A madman.
Yeah,
Sisko's out of his fucking mind.
Yeah, and shockingly, nobody mutinied.
I know!
So they do that, but of course, right as they're about to engage the massive fleet of Jem'Hadar, the prophets show up like, whoa, what the fuck? What's going on? What are you doing?
In my own house.
Sisko has a chat with the prophets and is like, listen, I know I'm important to you. I know Bajor is important to you. And if those things are important to you, well, maybe you could help me out a little. Give me a little back rub here.
I'll explain baseball again. How about that?
Maybe you could quite literally Deus Ex Machina this shit.
Yeah, and
I have notes. It'll be great.
The prophets are like, man, Sisko, for fuck's sake, whatever, fine. If you're gonna twist our arm like this, we'll do something. So then they warp him back to the Defiant, and suddenly the entire fleet of thousands of Jem'Hadar ships just vanishes.
Ooh.
And they fly out of the wormhole, and Gul Dukat's like, where's the fleet? And they're like, well, I guess something went wrong. And
the station won't zap them anymore.
Yeah, and the station, the computers are down, and it's just not great.
Don't they still have a fleet?
No, because their fleet's engaged in battle with the Federation. And it sounds like that once the Klingons showed up. Oh, by the way, the
Klingons showed up. I forgot
about that. The Klingons
that.
showed up and turned the tide of that battle.
Right.
So yeah, Wei Yun and the Changeling and everyone are like, shit, we better abandon station. And Ducat's like, I can't believe this. I can't believe you've done this, Sisko. As they're escaping, Gul Dukat is like, Zial, quick, come with me. And she's like, Daddy, I love you, even though you're a piece of shit. And he's like, I know, it's okay, everything will be okay. And she's like, oh, by BT dubs, I was the one that freed all the saboteurs from
it was mostly Quark.
Yeah, but she was there. She baked a Hasperat souffle. And he's like, no, don't tell me this. I can't know that you're a traitor. And Damar's like, did I hear traitor? And he shoots Zial and kills her.
You son of a bitch, Damar.
And Dukat just can't take it anymore, so he has a mental breakdown right then and there. At the worst possible moment, all of the rest of the Cardassians and Dominion escape, but Gul Dukat is now a prisoner on Deep Space Nine.
Hot.
And it is Deep Space Nine again. Because our friends show up, they take back the station, everyone's happy to see each other. Of course, Garrick's not so happy about dead Zial.
I'm happy that they're done, though.
But what can you do? And yeah, things are about to go back to normal. War is over.
Damn.
Well, no. This part of it's over.
Not remotely over.
No. They have a station again that includes a baseball, and that was
honestly,
the whole thing.
Considering that they ended up having this whole fucking battle to begin with, they could have just took a stand before the Dominion took the station to prevent them from getting the station.
Well, and what I love is, again, fucking borked Starfleet priorities.
We have to protect Earth!
It's like Earth is in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
Realistically, we are on the outer edge of the galaxy. We are in the fucking boondocks.
Well, it's not just that. It's that whole thing like Azatberg said, the Federation is so human-centric. That
it is.
But what about Earth?
Well, even the fucking Vulcan was saying it. It's like, what?
Yeah, the Federation, I get confused on just what the scale of the Federation is. Because it is so human-centric. It's so, we have to protect Earth. We have to protect San Francisco or wherever. Because that's the most important thing. And it's like, it's really not. Like, someone I think it's, I wrote it down, but I forget who said it. Like, someone says, Earth is not the most important part. The wormhole is the most important thing.
Cisco, I think, is the one who says
that Cisco sounds right.
That's the key to the Alpha Quadrant.
The Roman Empire lasted another 1,000 years after Rome fell, so not that important.
Earth having the seat of government kind of makes sense because, it's really hard to get to because it's on the outer edge of the fucking galaxy. But thinking it's that important strategically is fucking bonkers.
Yeah.
They try sort of to justify the paranoia later where Wei Yun is like, oh yeah, we'll probably just genocide Earth because that's probably where they would build a resistance from. But Starfleet doesn't know that.
Well, and also, that's not the battle plan. That's okay, once the battle is won, once the war is over and we need to pacify the populace, this is what we'll do.
Yeah. How much of Earth is Starfleet, too? Probably very little of it. Probably just San Francisco.
I was always kind of under the impression they did also oversee the protection of the solar system, so
Oh, a couple more rinky-dink planets. Oh, no. What about the Mars shipyards?
No, but that's what I mean, though, is they probably have a decent-sized presence that, who knows? But yeah, Earth does seem to be
huge.
Pretty far from a lot of things. As it is, if they'd said, we don't want to pull ships away from Vulcan, maybe that would have made more sense, because they did say there was a lot of fighting happening near the Vulcan border. But, Earth strategically doesn't matter. It just doesn't. Earth is your last fallback point when you know you're screwed, not the first place we need to defend. Unless you're worried the Borg are going to show up again, no one gives a shit.
Right, because the Borg can just, attack whoever they want first because they're that powerful.
Yeah, and they have a bit of a hard-on for Earth for some reason.
Because of Picard.
Yeah.
It's because of those Iconian gates, I tell you.
Yeah. We actually have, a real fancy one that we just haven't stumbled across yet, but they know somehow.
So we finished up this big 6-part thing that the
Yep.
writers did to themselves. Originally, it was going to be a 4-part arc. And then they kind of said, oh, we want to do a little more. Let's make it a 5-part arc. So they did 5 episodes. Then they did this episode, and they realized, Favor the Bold is the episode where we're gonna take back the station. We're gonna, have this big space battle. We're gonna do the wormhole thing. We're gonna do all this stuff with Zial. We're gonna 85 fucking things they had on their plate to squeeze into one episode, and they realized, oh, let's split this one into 2. So the 6-part arc is more like 4 episodes and then a 2-parter.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I at the same time, I feel like a lot happened here, but also not a ton happened.
It was a lot of payoff.
It was a lot of payoff. Like, as I was doing the synopsis, I'm like, what actually, like, were the major points of especially, like, Favor the Bold, which is all pretty much just set up.
Yeah. Putting those bowling pins at the end of the alley, waiting for Sacrifice of Angels to come along and knock them down.
Yep.
Sort of felt like the thing that we saw so much of was like the development of the relationship between Gul Dukat and Zial.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like they rushed us through it so that we'd care when she dies.
I think that's right, yeah.
And I'm not
I
really...
cared that she died, but...
Well, I cared that she died, but I didn't buy, like, Gul Dukat, like, flipping an absolute shit about it, really, somehow.
Well,
See,
the writers claimed that he was just always on the brink of going mad anyway.
Oh, well, that's probably true. I mean, he already was halfway there.
I bought it well enough, maybe just because I think Alemo sold it.
Oh,
he did sell it.
Like, watching him... It's interesting, because, this is a time where we've watched Dukat fail, and he can't spin it as anything else, to himself. Like, he done fucked up, and it destroys him.
Yeah,
and
I have a great quote. I think it's by Ira Bear. A healthy human being like Cisco knows himself. That doesn't mean he doesn't have limitations. It doesn't mean he doesn't make mistakes, but he knows himself. Dukat is a totally self-deluded person. He's a deeply, deeply screwed up Cardassian who doesn't understand his own motives. Which is an interesting way of looking at Dukat, because as we've said before, like, Dukat looks out for Dukat and things that pertain to Dukat. And in this case, he's kind of decided... Zial pertains to Dukat, so I'm going to care about Zial.
Yeah. Well, because I think I said this a few weeks ago, or maybe it was last week. It's all kind of blurred together. Like, the one thing is, he is very much a Cardassian culturally in many, many ways. And family is super important to Cardassians, and she's all he's got left. Because he presumably can no longer lay any kind of connection to his wife and 9 or whatever kids he had with her. Because of the revelation that Zial exists. And also, in a bonkers way, Zial, I think, is more important to him than his other children because she...
Loves him?
and represents...
But she was a product of love.
Yeah, well...
His own love. I don't mean love, but his love, I think.
She is a literal representation of, like, a merger of Bajor and Cardassia.
Yeah.
He talks about wanting to be seen as a father figure, and here is his child who has distinctive biological traits of both species.
Yeah, and I think Zial's also so interesting because she struggles so much with what her culture is. Because she doesn't know, and I think that's really, really awesome for the Zial character. I did not expect her to die this early, though.
So here's the thing I've sort of not brought up before is... For some reason, again, I watched a lot of this show as a kid, but Zial was a complete blank in my memory.
Wow.
Like, I forgot of her as a character at all. Like, when she showed up, I was like, well, maybe this is something I remember?
Well, it's because she showed up the most in this last couple of episodes. Like, she's just kind of been flitting in and out, and then suddenly she's this big deal.
Yeah, but so I didn't really know what became of her. I mean, I guess it should have occurred to me, like, from later episodes I remember very clearly, she's not there. But I was like, then again, she wasn't there in any of my memories of this show, so that doesn't mean anything. So it did catch me off guard. And goddamn, Damar, you motherfucker.
Oh, he's a son of a bitch.
Yeah, he's such a piece of shit. I love him.
He's great. I kind of love, too, when, like, they were talking about gathering the suspected cell, they're like, what charges should we round them up on? And you just kind of see Damar, he wants to go like, well, I mean, I don't know about the others, but remember how I said Major Kira beat the shit out of me?
Yeah.
Well, I don't even have to make one up. That happened.
You saw my face, right? You saw how a little 90-pound girl beat up me.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, imagine telling everybody you know over and over again how a little gal like Major Kira whipped your ass.
I just took him by surprise. Like, he did not expect that. And was
I
like,
don't
what?
think that his pride would have allowed him to arrest her for that.
True. I was going to say, he either has not told anyone, or he's been like, oh, you should have seen her.
I mean, he told Ducat, but only because he wanted Ducat to
do something about it. Yeah.
Because, he's a little fucking toady piece of shit. Yeah, and he, I mean, I know she caught him off guard at first, but he didn't stand a chance. He was just, because he wasn't ready. Some people can recover from that sort of thing and put up a fight, but he was just down.
Listen, she had the strength of 10 Kiras plus 2.
And what I love, too, is, again, Ducat's thing was like, what did you do? Yeah. She wouldn't have done that for no reason.
Yeah, well, he knows Kira.
Yeah. So... like, wow, Damar, you went to the principal and he told you to suck it up. And then blamed it on you.
And then he kills your daughter afterwards. Damn it, Damar!
Ooh, yeah.
I kind of wish that had been... I don't know if I want it to be, longer, shorter. I felt like there was some pacing thing in the death scene that I was like, it needed something else. But I don't know what that thing is.
Well, the fact that he does it in cold blood too, or it's just
yeah, that's exactly, that was shocking.
Yeah, it did kind of just come out of nowhere.
I think maybe it needed more urgency because Ducat they're fleeing the station. They're fleeing the fuck out of the station, yeeting the fuck out. And so I think the fact that he's not like, I know Zial, this is all fine. We have to go right now.
Yeah,
you're right. It does sort of lose the urgency of the scene.
Speaking of though, well. Time to pack.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Wei-Yun. Oh my god. Oh my god. Wei-Yun. Every scene between Ducat and Wei-Yun in these 2 episodes, in all the episodes, they're my favorite new couple. I love them.
What I love is I think the whole sort of thing of the Vorta is summed up so beautifully. Poor eyesight, good hearing.
That was nice.
I love, because it was because it doesn't make a ton of sense why they would have been built with bad eyesight, except maybe to lull people to a false sense of security, if they can't see that well, they probably can't anything that well. It's but did you see those ears?
Yeah. I like that because it also kind of speaks to the, oh yes, if I take 2 steps away from you and have a side conversation over here, you can't hear it. Of course people can hear it if you step 2 feet away.
Yeah, it's an old television convention.
I think it goes kind of to the prey versus predator thing, where because he mentions that the Jem'Hadar have great eyesight, and that's because they're kind of they're the predators.
Apex predators.
Yeah, they're the ones you send in.
Whereas the Vorta, they're kind of squirrely and
they're the managers.
They need the hearing because they need to hear when danger is nearby so that they can.
Yeah, you definitely feel away. If they'd had more money. The Vorta would have eyes more to the side of the head.
Right.
Oh, you mean for money on the show?
Yeah. Yeah, if they had more money, or if it was if the character was completely CG, or, if it weren't for the fact that you've got a human in a suit.
Man,
and
you've got to
deal with their
full
eyes.
CG character in 1997?
Well, so what I was actually just picturing is if they had the money, they would have genetically altered human beings to have eyes on the sides of their heads to play Wei-Yun.
Yeah, not that it would have been CG, but that it would have been a very elaborate headpiece that put fake eyes on the side, but somehow hid
I'm super glad they didn't do that.
It would not have aged.
That would have been some
well.
Babylon 5 looking shit. It would have just looked terrible.
Puppets. The answer is always puppets.
Yeah,
True.
Puppets are good.
Yeah, I mean that's what
Farscape.
Yeah, it was contemporary with Farscape.
Dude.
Yeah.
Admittedly, Farscape had access to the Henson Company.
Yeah, they do excellent work on Farscape.
It's funny, you'd think it would be easy enough to just knock off what they do, but when you see non-Henson puppets a lot of the time, you're just something's off.
Wait, I'm sorry,
You're
who would think that it would be easy to knock that off? They're amazing.
Yeah, but I mean, you'd think a skilled enough artist would be all right, I understand what they have done.
No.
I guess the problem is, like, if you're a really good puppeteer or puppet crafter or anything like that in Hollywood.
You already work for Henson?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I don't think anyone who has ever seen some of the elaborate puppetry they do would go, oh yeah, I could do that. No, absolutely not.
Again, unless...
Professional puppeteers.
Yeah, but again, they
puppet
get...
makers.
The good ones
know.
would get snapped up by them.
Listen, they can do what they do. Lots of people can make Sesame Street style Muppets.
Yeah, I was gonna say Muppets are fine, but like,
yeah, but when you're talking about fucking Gelflings, or you're talking about the Child, we're talking about Skeksis, nobody else is doing that.
Oh, and you get, like, the little frog bastard from Farscape, too.
Yeah, Rigel.
I'm gonna watch Farscape. I've never seen
Farscape
Farscape.
is excellent.
Also, I just want to...
It's like Star Trek, but if the
With
writers
puppets.
were on LSD the whole time.
Oh, sounds good.
Yeah,
Unlike,
the pilot looks excellent, too.
Unlike Lex, which was Star Trek if the writers were just so disgustingly horny in the worst way.
So, Star Trek.
That sounds like Torchwood.
No, that's Hawk Doctor Who, but horny writers.
It's different.
Anyway, sorry, I dragged us off course with puppets.
What, you? Dragging us off course?
But yes, no, I loved how, like, nonplussed Wei Yun was by the whole thing. He almost seemed happy about it.
He's probably fucking sick of being there and probably sick of being around the Cardassians. Like, he probably is just like, oh, these fucking assholes, they're gonna ruin everything. Like, he might not be able to see well, but a fucking mostly blind Wei Yun, Vorta, could see through fucking Gul Dukat's bullshit. He was just there until it was inconvenient. You know what I mean? Like, he was just being opportunistic as usual. And if I were him, I wouldn't fucking want to deal with that either. He's used to dealing with Jem'Hadar, who do what you say because you've got the drugs, and literal gods. Dealing with someone who has, like, the physical power of the Jem'Hadar while also thinking of themselves as being godlike, as Gul Dukat does, must have been incredibly frustrating for Wei Yun. And if I were him, I'd be like, good, get me the fuck out of here.
Frustrating,
Plus, like,
but also I think he just thinks of it as like, you guys are idiots. You guys are so fucking dumb, and I'm so much better than you.
Well, yeah, it's like, Gul Dukat, your aspirations are so transparent, and you think we haven't caught on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, he even, like, jokes with Damar that's like, you know, we have to be nice to them for now.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of Wei Yun talking about art?
I will say, the fact that they don't have a sense of aesthetics explains the default Vorta haircut.
Yeesh. I kind of liked it. I mean, it's interesting because just like the Jem'Hadar, they've kind of bred out whatever they didn't need. And why would the Vorta need to have any idea about art?
Yeah, it was kind of cool because, you know, you look at it and it's not that he, like, sees it as something he's missing. It's just that he sees it as, like, it's a curiosity to him. It's like, what is this?
Yeah.
Is this good? I don't know.
Would it be better if it was blue? I loved that question.
Yeah. He would love Thomas Kincaid paintings, I bet.
Oh my god, he would. I genuinely felt a little sad for them. Like, as a species, like, wow, that's depressing not having a sense of aesthetics.
Well, they're efficient, though. Like, it's not something they need. How many Vorta are there, do you think?
Oh, that's a good question.
So many of them are just clones of each other?
Yeah.
But I assume they don't have,
though.
like, more than one clone of the same thing running around. I just assume that they've got, when Wei Yun was created, they made 12 more just in case, but they don't they don't thaw out one of the other Wei Yuns unless, one of them has died.
That's how I kind of imagined it.
Venture Brothers style.
That's how I imagined it.
Throwing a bunch of extras in the basement.
Yeah, there's a room full of Wei Yuns, but there's only one active at any given time.
That's what I think,
I want to play in that room.
But does every Jem'Hadar ship have a Vorta on it?
They must, right?
I don't know.
Well, actually, so that's a good point, because if they're on, like, short, like, 3-hour missions, you wouldn't necessarily think so, because there's no chance of them needing the white. But I would think, with the chance of them being, like, shot down or marooned or getting lost or whatever, you would think they would always have to have one with them so that they could get the white.
Yeah.
Well,
unless there's, like,
that.
a special, like, white dispenser on the ship.
Break in case of emergency.
I mean, here's the thing. The Founders don't care about the Jem'Hadar.
True. They can make more. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, they're like, if we lose this ship accidentally, we don't give a fuck.
Yeah. They grow up in, like, 3 days. It's not going to matter if we lose 5 now.
mean, that's
Yeah.
was there a Vorta corpse in the ship from the ship? I don't think so.
God, I don't remember.
But then again, that ship also had a founder on it, so maybe maybe you need either a founder or a Vorta on board to.
I can't imagine though a founder like degrading themselves to dole the white out to the Jem'Hadar.
That's true.
So-
Like I found it so interesting how disinterested the female changeling seemed to be in the war stuff. And I don't know if she was just putting on an act for Odo's sake, or if she legitimately is just like,
I think they have such a
let
different
the solids
perspective.
deal with the war.
I think their perspective is like full on different. Like I was reading some quotes from, I don't know how to pronounce her name. I want to say Salome Jens.
I've
the
been
actress?
assuming Salome.
Salome? I've never heard it out loud. But you heard you saying like, wow, I didn't realize I was supposed to be a baddie. It didn't make sense because, when she reads her lines from her point of view, everything she does makes sense to her type of people. And, later on she realizes in context, oh, I'm an evil bitch. Oh.
Yeah, well, she's definitely manipulating the fuck out of Odo.
Oh, yeah.
And his dinghy.
Well, and that's the thing, though. I think to
Gross.
the female changeling, to her, I genuinely don't think she thinks it's manipulation.
Well, yeah, she kind of thinks she's doing him a favor.
She's trying to bring him home.
Yeah.
Like, I think that, a lot of what she does, although it is, from our perspective, seems like, oh yeah, of course, this is going to fuck everything up for the good guys. Genuinely, she does just want to get him back to the link.
Mm.
Well,
And she says that to Wei Yun. Like, that's literally the conversation they have.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, hey, you're doing a great job with Odo. And she's like, the fuck do you think you're talking about? I just want to bring him home.
Yeah, she seemed genuinely a little angry at that. And
Because it's all so below them. Like,
Yeah.
even when we saw Odo last week being like, that's your fucking problem. They're gonna blow up the space station. I don't give a shit. That doesn't involve me. They probably mean that. I mean,
Yeah.
they can probably pick up and relocate anywhere and make themselves an ocean of fucking goo and be in straight up euphoria all the fucking time and nothing to worry about. Like, I really do think they just don't give a shit. Like, but that does make me wonder, why are they bothering with all of this? Like, is this just, like, are they bored? Because it doesn't seem like that would be the case.
They see solids as a threat.
Yeah, remember way back when we first met them, we found that, they had been sort of hunted and distrusted, and, they essentially started
Of course
conquering...
they're fucking distrusted. Would you trust them?
Well, but they started basically conquering as an act of defense, and now it's just what they do.
Interesting. Because I know the first we met them, they hooked everybody up into their VR machine to be like,
Right.
what will happen if, we talk more with humans? Oh, they'll be assholes and try to start a war with us. Fuck you, humans. We know what you're about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't
so
know.
it's
I
like-
think if I were, from the changeling's perspective, their whole existence is, that whole concept of absolute candor from Picard,
Mm,
right? Like, they can't hide things from each other, really.
Yeah.
And when they're in the link, there's complete honesty. And I think what the thing is that when they encounter solids, they can't do that with them, so they don't know. There's no trust there.
That's
And
a good way
Which
to
is
put
why
it.
to
they
do things
genetically
like that-
manipulate.
Yeah, so that subterfuge with the machine and the simulation all was like you say, it's like, oh, are these good people or bad people? Well, no, they're bad people because, they're going to try to start a war with us.
I mean, humans are bad people. I
Yeah.
buy it. I want to bring it back though, because the other Vorta, I keep waiting to see Kevon again, because we've got him in
Yeah.
a brig somewhere. So I'm waiting for him to pop back up.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember, there was that initial female Vorta from Jem'Hadar.
Eris.
There was... They couldn't get her for next episode. There was some random guy.
Yep.
There's Kiva, there's been Wei Yun.
There's sexy
Kalara?
ship
Kalara?
one.
Yeah, the one from the ship. Is that everyone we've seen so far?
There was another
so.
one in watching the fight ring Worf was part of.
Ah, that's right.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah,
And I
he's
know,
in the ship.
not so much a spoiler, but because I don't know anything about him, but I do know eventually we see Iggy Pop as a Vorta.
Yeah,
Hilarious.
that's
Yes.
coming up soon.
So that's 6 that we've seen. We know that we've seen at least 2 Wei Yuns.
Yeah, so I mean, I assume, yeah, there's a lot of them.
But yeah, I would imagine they're not on every, especially the smaller ones, because those presumably all have to kind of work out of a base. Like, the big fuckers probably have a couple on board, but I imagine the little scout-sized ones probably don't usually, unless they're being sent on a long-term mission, like the one in the ship. And actually, I guess the one that had crashed in the ship, were there any corpses? Because didn't they have, like, a...
There was one in the dangling from the ceiling.
Oh, that's right. Because, like, in reality, because they had a, not a deflector malfunction. What's the other thing called? Jake, help me out here.
Wait, what are we referring to?
How did the ship crash?
That crashed in the ship. It crashed because their acceleration...
Their inertial dampeners?
Right, broke.
Yeah.
So in reality, everybody on that should have been goo, not just the founder.
Gross.
Like,
They
there should
did
not have
mention
been...
how, like, every single bone in their bodies were shattered. So.
Yeah, like, they basically just should have been a bunch of clothes with liquid in them.
Gross.
That's what inertial dampeners do.
It's still gross.
They dampen
I
inertia.
was gonna say, it sounds like they inertially dampened their clothes.
Their pants.
No.
Oh, no.
That's what Chris did earlier when Jake was doing the intro. Some inertial dampening.
Yeah, so back on the female changeling situation.
Oh god, I hate her.
Yeah, she's miserable. I couldn't help but think though that, like, if you take what she says at face value about wanting to get Odo into the link,
Right.
it's like this is a classic codependency situation, right? Where, you know, she's cutting him off from pretty much everybody he knows with the express purpose of, I'm the only one that can make you happy. I'm the only one that can make you whole.
You know what it kind of feels like to me?
It's abusive.
It's wicked abusive.
What, Ames?
It feels a little like she's trying to deprogram someone from who was in a cult.
Yeah.
Or maybe program someone to get them into your cult.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's more like that. You know, it's.
Well, I think there's, you know, having met him and dealt with him, like, because we know that Oda was one of how many Babby?
They said 100.
100 they shot into space. The impression I'm under is he's the first one they've run into since they did this. And, like, you know, she was talking about this is the longest she's ever been separated from the Great Link, and it's like she can't deal. And she doesn't get that, you know, for Odo, who was spent most of his known life, like, in isolation, it's not as bad for him.
Right, yeah. He's only had tastes of it, while she's full on immersed in the link.
Yeah, and, like, he's jonesing for it, definitely, but it's not as bad for him as it is for her.
Right, she needs it significantly more than he does at this point.
Yeah, because it's been, most of her existence has been the link. Like, these moments, she's probably spent more time as a singular entity in the past, you know, several months than she has in her entire existence. And so I think, you know, there's probably a lot of regret there about the project.
And I know I keep thinking about this, and I probably bring this up every week until they address it again. I'm going to bring it up every week, and that's that. Aren't there other changelings around? We have claimed up and down and left and right that they are everywhere. Why doesn't she just have, you know, a couple other changelings to hang out with? They're currently rats or something.
It's probably still not the same as the Link, you know?
Oh yeah.
Like, Babby Link is one thing.
I feel like the show needs to remind us that it's not just this lady. The
well, also though that presumably the other changelings that are around are deep undercover, you know, impersonating people,
rats,
and rats.
Ben Sisko,
and Eddington,
Admiral Ross.
I know Admiral Ross's new belt buckle.
Yeah, the new Admiral outfits, the uniforms look really good.
Yeah, well, he got the new uniform, I think, last week.
Well, I didn't remember to bring it up then.
He didn't have the buckle until this week.
Well, I haven't noticed.
He's looking good in the neighborhood.
Because when we first saw Ross, he was still in the, like, TNG style Admiral uniform.
Was that the one with, like, all the gold glitter on the seams?
Yeah, I mean, they still do it with the current one, but it's...
Don't like it.
So, but his new one, it looks more like a First Contact shirt. But then this week, like last week, he just had because his coat's longer and he has a belt. And this week, they added this, like, fucking don't mess with Texas Federation logo belt buckle.
Nice.
That I believe he wears through the end of the series. It is the most gaudy thing.
Oh, good. So we're going to see a lot more Admiral Ross?
I don't know if it's a lot more, but it's enough that I remembered his dumb belt buckle.
That's
But
because
yes,
I
he's
know
definitely recurring.
Yeah, I know the production team, like, when they found this guy, they're all like, finally, an admiral that we can, like, have in more things, who can act and not just be evil. Hooray!
Sadly, his actor passed away, I think, a year or two ago.
Oh, did
He was
he? That's a
relatively
shame.
young.
That is sad.
Still think
But
he's
yes,
a changeling.
But yes, it is nice to see an admiral who's not there just to be, like, corrupt. It's a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, you would just think Starfleet would have a way, way better plan about literally anything.
Ugh. Oh my god.
Like, they hadn't thought about retaking the station after all this time? Why is that Cisco's idea and no one else had thought about it?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's just because he's bored. He wants his ball back because he's bored. There was some great ball acting in these episodes.
Yeah, true.
Anytime Ducat had ball, it was like, Ducat's
ball
got the
acting.
ball!
He's like, he's coming to get this back, or whatever.
Okay, I was wrong. He did pass away a couple years ago, but he was 75, which isn't a bad run.
It's not a bad run at all.
Man,
I thought he was a bit younger.
Yeah, I mean, he looks great in the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed he was, like, in his 50s or whatever.
Yeah, I would have guessed he was in his 40s.
Yeah.
Early
same.
40s, even.
So well done you.
I'm going to change topics just to the next thing in my notes.
Yeah.
Yes, they should execute Rom. He is the worst spy.
Ah.
No, he was doing good until Odo fucked him over.
Yeah, but in the prison cell, as he's, like, telling the plan to Quark is literally saying, why are you telling me this in front of guards? We have established in the previous scene that when you're 2 steps away, people still hear you, right?
Well, yeah, but those are Jem'Hadar guards. They got good eyes, bad hearing.
Bad hearing? Oh.
But also consider that Quark and Rom, a whisper would be super, super hearable. Audible.
That's the thing. They're actually
So-
talking way quieter, but for the sake of us human listeners, they had to
That's funny.
Turn it up.
Mm.
Actually, I kind of like that idea. That in reality, they are able to whisper so quietly that.
And then whilst they're doing all the quiet whispering, Lita does one of her high-pitched squeals that made me want to punch her every fucking time.
Yeah,
Yeah, those
the
were a bit-
crying sound is. Ugh.
That was weird. It was like, that's a bit too comical for the current tone.
Yeah.
Guys, I don't know if you've noticed, but Lita's not a great actress.
I did like that Rom basically said, like, it's more important than you take down the weapons grid or whatever the fuck it was than get me off being executed.
Yeah.
Rom is a very heroic little Ferengi.
That,
In his
that
own
whole,
way.
Yeah, that whole family continues to be the worst Ferengi. Because even Quark gives in the end.
That was so cool. That was a good Quark scene, because you can tell, like, he did not want to be the one doing this, but he was the only one who was left.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because Odo was off being a little bitch.
Yep.
Everyone else was in prison.
Mm-hmm.
Zial made a souffle, and that was her job.
Yep. I did like the flip of expectations.
Yeah.
It's like, no, don't poke it. You're going to ruin it.
What are you talking about?
The
Well,
souffle.
like
the
saying-
guy was like looking for like,
A
something
fucking
to,
nail file or whatever.
something to cut the bars with, and then they just punch him in the face with it or whatever.
Oh,
They
now
don't
you've
even have
ruined it.
bars in the cell.
No, they hit him with a hypo
Hypo,
spray
yeah.
No, that's right.
to
Where
knock
the
him
fuck
out.
did they get that?
Sick bay.
Yeah.
No one's in charge of sickbay?
I mean, it's Zial.
Yeah,
Oh,
she
that's
just
true.
walks in and is like, my dad wanted me to get a hypo spray with knockout powder in
My
it.
dad says you
He's
guys
been
should
having
all
trouble
knock each other
sleeping.
out.
Yeah. So I like that. The kind of the taking the old trope of the thing hidden in the cake and then being like, we're not that stupid.
I will say, I thought it was kind of harsh that they killed her over it, though. I mean, maybe it wasn't the best souffle, but you guys are harsh critics.
Oh.
It did look like, I don't know who designed that, but it looked gross. It looked
did
like
look
it was
gross, and it looked like it had a fucking nail file in it. Like, what was all that?
It
Yeah,
looked like
but
it was made of bologna.
Oh god, it probably was.
Wow.
I mean, it is Bajoran food.
Like,
you
here's the
know?
thing. I don't know what
Oh,
exactly
right.
Hasperat is. Like, when we've seen it, it's definitely a burrito of some kind. But, like, a big meat cake as the souffle version felt wrong.
Well, I'm wondering if like Hasperat isn't like a specific food, but like, like a type of food. Like you could
Like
have
Italian, saying I want to go out for Italian?
not even that, but like, I don't know, like the burrito form is just like the convenient way to eat it.
Right.
But you could also bake it into a cake, or you could, make Hasperat ravioli, or whatever
Or a
you wanted.
fudgesicle.
So it's more like a filling than it is an actual specific food, a specific meal.
I could buy that. But yeah, whatever they designed the souffle out of, just again, because it was kind of like pink and weird, it looked like they had just ground up and sculpted bologna. And
I mean, we could also say, like, so Zial grew up in a Breen prison camp.
True.
I mean, at what point did she get, like, a Bajoran culinary
They probably just asked the replicators to make it.
Well, then why did Quark go in there and be like, do you know how to make this?
Because he was getting her involved so that it wouldn't just be him, because if it were just him, he would have lost the nerve immediately.
I like to imagine, though, that, like, it took hours to prepare this souffle, and that lost time that they could have just asked the replicator, they could have completed their plan to disable the computer in time if they hadn't painstakingly created this souffle so that a guy could bury his face in it.
My souffle.
No, you know what it was? They did ask the replicator, but it turns out the Cardassians, out of spite, had deleted all Bajoran food from the system.
But there's still tons of Bajorans on the station.
Yeah, it feels like a Cardassian power move.
Yeah, but no, I feel like Dukat would want to be like, no, there will only be Bajoran food.
I did love that Cardassian security officer whose face they shoved in it, because he was the sleaziest one we've met.
I meant to look him up because I swore his voice was familiar, but I completely forgot.
Yeah, he was an interesting guy.
Yeah.
Definitely one of Damar's guys.
Oh yeah, totally.
He's a made man. I feel like they're like part of the mafia. Like Gull's like Gambino, who like doesn't know that they're all dealing drugs on the side and shit. I don't know.
Also, the two Jem'Hadar guards that are the worst.
Yeah, why didn't they just kill Quark?
Yeah.
It was weird.
He's pointing a gun at us. I guess we better surrender.
Well, they didn't surrender.
The stupid, like, Simon Says thing, like, speaking of things that kind of broke the tension of, like, what's happening. All right, don't move. Okay, let them out. Well, you told us not to move. Okay, you don't move. You open the door. Like, come on.
Yeah, I think that's an homage to some movie or something.
Well, it's fucking stupid.
Well, I can also
I
imagine
don't know what movie it is,
Jem'Hadar,
but the movie's stupid too.
Probably.
The Jem'Hadar just being very literal. And being like, well,
yes,
wait,
I mean,
how can
like,
I
we
let them
know
out if I
that,
can't
right?
move?
But the writers wrote it, right?
Oh, I know.
Thinking like, ha 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 ha.
But were they thinking of it as like a character trait for the Jem'Hadar to be really literal, or were they like, this will be a good joke?
No, the Jem'Hadar didn't let them out though. Quark had to kill them.
Yes.
Which is kind of horrifying for Quark, who has never killed before.
Directly. But yeah, no, this is definitely...
He killed that Klingon. He killed Rilke's husband.
On purpose.
Yeah, that was...
First time directly on purpose. A lot of people died because of his arms dealing.
Well, yikes.
And I'm sure there is a non-zero chance that at some point in his life, he sold some expired meat that killed someone.
But
wait,
still...
who did?
Quark.
Oh, almost certainly.
That's
every day he serves expired meat, it's just they don't always die.
They usually don't. I mean, look at Morn.
Well,
He's 27.
Morn, I was gonna say, Morn used to look just like you and me. That's what he's been eating at Quark's.
He's actually human.
Yeah.
Oh, no!
Yeah. He's just people under there, but Quark has turned him into a...
Potato
I don't even
man.
know what, like a... Yeah, potato works. I like that.
Like a potato thumb.
The hide the message in the ribbon was kind of brilliant.
I liked that. That was good.
Because they would probably just think, oh yeah, this is the trash part. Look in the box. What's in the box? Anything we shouldn't be letting them bring? It's just a teddy bear that says, I love Morn's mom.
But again, hey, good on Morn.
A teddy bear that says, I love Morn's mom.
Taking his chances too, because he cares.
Also, do you think he has a tattoo somewhere that's like a heart with the word mom in it?
I do now.
But you can't tell if the R and the N are connected, so it might just say Morn.
It says Morm. That's Morn's mom's name is Morm.
Morm.
That's actually how his species names work. You just go up one letter, so like...
Yeah, his kid will be Moro.
Yep, his kid will be Morp. My god, Mork is one of them!
Of Mork and Mindy?
Yes!
You're assuming they have a human alphabet.
Well, because they're humans, and in fact, if Mork
Okay.
is only a couple of generations before,
Yeah.
I'm right, Quark fucked him up.
Yeah. This is fun headcanon.
Yeah. You know what I liked? That they didn't succeed in protecting the minefield.
Yeah, no.
Because you would think any other buildup of this kind of thing, like, oh, he's going to have to do it just in time and turn the thing on so they don't do it. Oh,
And they were 10 minutes late.
Fucking failed.
Yep, that was a big surprise. I did not expect it. Like, I was as shocked as they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then only to completely undo any stakes raising 10 minutes later with Deus Ex Prophet.
Man, the writers are so angry that people don't like the Deus Ex wormhole alien element of it. Because they think they think they've been building it up and that the people would trust them enough to be like, yeah, this is a thing that would totally happen and be meaningful.
I thought it was weird, and I also thought the game has to go on. Yes, the game. Like, it just, I don't know.
There's a line that Cisco says. He says, you want to be gods, then be gods. And do a Deus Ex Machina for me.
That's I thought I was waiting. Like, that's what he was so heavily implying, and I kind of loved it. Because I was sitting there, it's like, wow, they are actually going to straight up do a literal Deus Ex. This is nuts. Like, I've seen metaphorical ones, but this is the fucking definition, and that's bonkers. And I think because I sort of know where some of this is going, I don't mind it.
Well,
I
have inklings of where this is going because every time I read in my stupid research book, it says, this will pay off in this episode when this happens. I'm like, God damn it, book! Stop it! I haven't gotten there yet.
So I don't know, I don't know how I would feel if I was going in completely cold.
Yeah, it does strike me as very convenient that they wrap it up very quickly without, they're just gone.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It felt. I wouldn't have mind if the prophets were involved in some way and did something, and even if they decided the outcome, but the fact that in the last 5 minutes of the episode they're like, all right, this is how it ends.
Check.
I mean, I guess to an extent, I was sitting there thinking, like, so Cisco had to be hoping this would happen, right?
I mean, there's no other reason to have flown into the wormhole.
Right. Like, he could have just stood at the mouth.
I mean, he is nuts. He makes the weirdest decisions, this guy.
Yeah, but I mean, again, I think...
If it's not wait and see what happens, it's fly headlong into a fucking fleet of ships.
Yeah, but I think to an extent, I think part of it may have been, maybe if I'm in there, they'll, kind of knock on the door and...
I expected him to go in expecting to blow the wormhole up in some way so that
I
it would
thought
collapse.
that was his plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he was going to say
came up.
overload the warp core.
No.
But to a certain, to an extent, I was like, he might be kind of hoping for some intervention, and then it happened.
How are the rest of you feeling about the scenes we've had with the wormhole aliens lately?
I want to know why one of them appeared as Damar when I don't think Cisco's ever met Damar.
I mean, the wormhole aliens know all, see all.
Yeah, but they always appear as people that are familiar to Cisco, like
Yeah.
Buckaroo Banzai or people like that.
I mean, I guess, yeah, all you could say is, because when he was being fucking, Big Johnny Pirate, Ducat was using DS9 as an occasional dock. There's a non-zero chance.
Wait, didn't they see
he might have
Damar on the
encountered
view
him.
screen once? Wasn't he with Ducat wearing one of the stupid eyeball majigs.
He didn't have one, but he was there.
So
Yeah,
he's maybe seen him.
But that's what I mean, like, even if they've met, it was very briefly, and there's no sense that they're significant to one another.
Right.
Yeah, I think
So,
it's
yeah,
just
you're right, that
because
is weird.
This is the guest star that we have access to.
That's
this
what
episode.
it is. That's what's bothering me, too, because you'd think... I keep harkening it back to when we saw an emissary, and it was very clear that the wormhole aliens were probing through Sisko's mind for a way to connect with him. And even though they know him a little better at this point, I feel like we're entirely losing the fact that they're still... The way that they connect with people is different.
Well, like, I feel like in their other, especially in Emissary, and this is a thing they've kind of lost, I think, since then, too, is even though it was still kind of clear what each person represented. Remember, we talked about this first with Emissary. It's like, all right, so this one is asking these types of questions.
I wonder if any of that was on purpose.
Yeah, I'm starting to think it might have just been a hell of a coincidence.
Maybe, because they have not been consistent with the way that the wormhole aliens communicate with you. Because it used to be like they'd go to different locations that are meaningful to Sisko. And now it was they just see this room or this room with everybody from this episode. I would think he would have a Cassidy there to talk with him about something. Because she's important.
Well, we haven't seen her in ages.
I miss her
Where even
terribly.
is Cassidy? I know.
They would have a Joe being there trying to talk sense into him. Well, they would be like piecing together like what is going on in Sisko's brain right now by pulling out all the stuff that's happening and assigning purpose to each one. And not just, we're just going to have everybody say lines of all the actors that we have.
What's his name from the London Knights or whatever?
Buckbuckeye?
Thank you, yes.
Yeah, he would be there. Why not?
That just sounds like you're trying to do chicken noises. It just doesn't sound like a name. I don't know how I've never noticed before, but just now you were like, who? Buckbuckeye? And I was like, oh, okay. Sorry, Ames.
No, that's
Ames,
excellent.
No, don't have water go through your nose.
Yeah, they do seem to have put a little less care into this one.
Yeah, it felt like they were just trying to wrap up the episode because they had 5 minutes left.
Well, guys, we got in that great yuck when he's like, send me back to my ship, and they were like, ship, it's here, and he was like, you know what I meant, god damn it. It's just another one of those weird things that didn't feel completely appropriate to the tone. I don't know.
But now he will not find peace on Bajor.
Good, no one does. It's a fucking hole.
He was going to build a house. Actually,
it's a terrible place to build a house. Don't go to Bajor.
It's a political disaster, but it does sound beautiful.
The bits of Bajor we've seen.
What if the cloud shows up?
Yeah, the cloud. Everything looks like it's like disgusting.
No, there's the waterfalls and the lakes and...
Oh, that's right, because Kira was going to go there with Miles and said, oh no, it's too romantic.
Yeah,
no, wait, it's Miles from everywhere and we'll totally fuck. Maybe it's
Miles everywhere.
Yeah. Speaking of Miles...
Nope.
He had almost nothing to do this whole arc.
I could have done without the charge of the Light Brigade.
Oh, always. I could always do without them doing their British bullshit.
But not just because of that, but because it's like... The thing with the charge of the Light Brigade is that these people were slaughtered because a miscommunication sent them to the wrong battle.
I didn't look into the poem because I don't care about this
I knew
poem.
about it. It's based on a true event where this light cavalry was supposed to go to a certain place and time, and supposed to be
the wormhole aliens.
Yes, a specific place during the Crimean War, and it should have been simple. But they were sent to the wrong battlefield.
Whoopsie.
Horribly outmanned, outgunned, and outnumbered, and fucking slaughtered. Which is way different than knowingly going into a battle that's stacked against you.
Yikes.
Like, I feel like, alright, you wanted to have a big poem moment, which wasn't necessary, but if you had to have one, that one, if you actually know the background of the poem, doesn't work. You know, that is about people getting fucked over by bureaucracy and bad communication, not we are knowingly doing something for honor and glory and whatever.
Yeah. We are favoring the bold.
Yeah.
But also, like, why would you choose to recite a poem where the end is everybody dies horribly?
That too.
I mean that's all Miles' life.
Yeah.
I liked how many, like, I don't expect Starfleet to have nearly as many little fighters as they seem to have.
Oh yeah, they're
And it's
little.
through wave after wave of cannon fodder.
Why haven't they built another Defiant?
Eh.
Or another, ship in whatever the hell fucking class the
They
Defiant
might
is.
have more of them. It's just that it takes a while to build a ship.
Yeah,
Still,
like
it's been years. I mean, I know the Defiant was a prototype that they cranked out, but you'd think now that they know, like, okay, this is what works about the Defiant. The cloak sucks, by the way.
Yeah.
Let's not bother with that anymore. Let's just make a couple more tough little ships.
Well, that's what you figure. They've only had they pretty much they had basically put the model into mothballs until Cisco was like, "Give me my hot rod," and then
I thought they built it to fight the Borg.
Well, yeah, but
then
it never
I think-
worked.
Yeah, and he said that it would fly it apart because it was
Yeah.
too powerful.
And it basically took them a while to finally figure out how to make it function.
You're
And
saying
then-
a while like this wasn't years ago.
Well, it's what? This was the start of season 3.
Yeah, and now it's 6. It's been at least 3 years.
Yeah, but you
Assuming
gotta
time is
assume,
linear.
they had to give it, I would assume that Starfleet would give them a good year in space before being like, okay, maybe this idiot ship will work.
And then they have cranked out, 3,000 more.
No, they've
Well,
been
we
too
also-
busy apparently building 800 Galaxy-class ships for some reason.
Yeah.
Because, wow, there's a lot of them.
We also only saw one fleet.
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
that's
so
true.
it's potential that there are other
All
Defiants.
the other ones are protecting Earth
Yeah.
for
Mm.
reasons.
Thank goodness.
Well, that's the other thing is, ostensibly, really, again, it's a tough little ship, but it's also a scout, really,
Yeah.
more than anything. So, if not for the fact that Cisco has a personal interest, you maybe don't necessarily have a Defiant with all your big battle fleets. They're out there doing, zipping through near enemy areas to do scans and get the fuck out of there kind of things.
I kept wondering where Picard was.
If Nemesis is to be believed, not Nemesis, Insurrection is to be
Insurrection.
believed, he's off doing,
He's getting his dome polished by what's her face?
well, no, but he's doing, he's doing a lot of, oh my god,
Masturbating.
I
Motorboating.
can't think of words today.
Oh, fisting?
That's
like-
the one.
Archaeology.
Ambassadorial
Spelunking.
shit.
Oh, okay.
I feel like he talks about, in that one, they talk about that they've been doing a lot of, what is the fucking word?
Diplomacy.
Yes! Diplomacy things as relate to the war.
Okay, as related to the war. Okay, because I was gonna say that's not important while you're at war.
Well, he was meeting with those weird little fish people.
Yeah,
with
and they
the
talk about
headpieces.
the fact that the Federation has been speeding up the acceptance process lately because they're kind of desperate for allies.
Yeah, but
It's why
I
they're
can't imagine
desperate
those
for
fish
cannon
people
fodder.
would have been making a large contribution to the war.
Maybe they're really good at making phasers or something.
Maybe. I mean, it is true though that that was the whole thing with the Sona was that
Yep.
they were trying to team up with the Sona to join the war,
Oh,
even though they were clearly assholes.
Yeah.
I have to go back and rewatch Insurrection to see if any of this was planted.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean,
boy.
it was-
Said
No,
no
it's so
one
bad.
ever.
I
Insurrection isn't the bad one.
feel like they must
They're
have
kind
had
of
the
all the
script
bad
for
one.
Insurrection, and it had obviously nothing to do with the Dominion. And they're like, well, we have this storyline going on in Deep Space Nine that's concurrent with when we're releasing this movie. So why don't we throw a few lines in there
Yeah.
to make it seem like they're connected? Because otherwise it won't make sense that, there's just that Picard isn't involved in the war.
That the flagship is nowhere near the front lines.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
a Galaxy class.
Well, no,
They
I mean,
should
at that
not
point
be-
it's the
Oh,
Enterprise
that's
E
right.
at
They're
that
sovereign
point.
now. Right.
And that is a warship. That's a
Yeah.
serious
Okay, yeah, he should
piece
be
of
there.
ship.
Yeah, no, they
Um,
definitely should be there.
Or any sovereign class ships should be there.
Yes.
Well, I know
wonder-
it's all CG now. It's all CG all the fucking time.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
I think the only thing I noticed is just how much more clinical it kind of looked in the ship flying scenes.
Some of the lighting's a little flat.
Yeah,
On
everything.
the
Yeah, it did look
ships.
a little flat. That's true.
Yeah.
But also,
Yeah,
That's
we-
that mid-90s CG for you. It's
Yeah.
Right.
better than it was, but not quite what we'd expect today to see.
Yeah.
Well, it's different from any of the other ship battles we've seen because it's CGI and because they can do all of it kind of at once instead of, when you're doing it with models, you have to film each ship individually and then add them together, which would have been impossible.
Right, which is why to me I'm like, and this is something that pissed me the fuck off about Picard. But we have the technology, and we kind of had the technology then, although I imagine it cost a fortune to make CG models. But why do we only see like 4 ship classes
right
in this battle? Like, why is it's Galaxy class?
True.
Was it Miranda class?
Excelsiors,
and roundabouts.
And then
couple
there's like
of Akiras.
the Akiras I saw. Like if we're doing the whole thing in CG, throw, do some CG kit bashes or, throw some sovereigns in there. Add a couple Defiants, why not? Maybe not Defiant because that'll confuse the viewer.
Yeah.
But
like I said a few weeks ago when we talked about the Sovereign, I think the issue is like they're afraid if people see a Sovereign, they're going to assume it's the Enterprise.
They should. The Enterprise should be there.
That is true.
Yeah, but if you put 2 Sovereigns,
yes,
that problem is solved.
I kind of wonder if they lost the Steam Runner and the Saber class models because I have not seen any of those.
Maybe they just sucked.
I mean, they were ugly. Don't get me wrong, but
yeah.
Now, is it harder to make a kit bash looking thing in CG, or is it harder to do it in physical?
CG, because you'd actually have to build it bespoke from day one, whereas a kit bash is literally taking 2 existing models and putting them together.
But then you have to make sure it'll look good in high def.
in CG, like, because the thing with Starfleet ships is they're not super complicated. There's a saucer part.
Yep. There's
the nacelles. So you can like cut and paste parts of
a plate,
a CG
and some cigars.
asset. No, but if you had a model of an Excelsior class and a model of a Galaxy class, you could in CG, or at least with the CG tools that I've used, which I'm sure are more sophisticated today than what they were then. But you can slice a model and then glue it to another piece.
Yeah.
So it is possible to kind of do kit bashing in CG. I just don't know with the technology that they had at the time if maybe it's a lot harder.
All right.
But
now speaking of ship battles, can anyone explain to me what either side's plan was? Because it sounds like they were all doing stupid shit.
Well,
okay, so Cisco's plan.
Explain.
Cisco's plan. So he had all these fighter wings.
Yes, which Jake, what I wanted to say to what you said earlier, I did go at one point. I sent wave after wave of my own men at them.
Yeah. He clogs the enemy cannons with bodies.
Like, Jesus, Cisco is literally using the Zap Brannigan method, but go on.
But yeah, so he's got wave after wave of fighters just harassing the Cardassians, not even focusing on the Dominion. Like the capital ships, the big ships, the Galaxies and the Excelsiors, they're taking on the Jem'Hadar ships, the Dominion ships. The fighters are going after the Cardassian ships. So Cisco's plan is that he thinks that the Cardassians are going to lack discipline and will break ranks to pursue the fighters.
Okay, that part's logical enough.
And then Cisco's idea is, okay, and then when they do that, that's going to open up a gap.
Yeah.
And we'll just fly through that gap and we can go to Deep Space Nine. What Cisco failed to realize is they're in fucking space. They can just fly up and over. They can fly down and under. They can turn in 360 degrees.
No.
They're in fucking space. There is no line. You don't form a line in space because it's fucking space. Even fucking Spock knew about this.
Yeah.
100 years ago, when they were fighting Khan in the nebula, Spock knew about fucking 3 dimensions. Cisco doesn't. Ducat doesn't. They're just like, nope, we got to line up on one even plane, and then no one will be able to get through.
Also, everybody, in your big, hard-to-maneuver capital ships, get real close. Get so that you could, like, fucking spit from one saucer to the other.
Yikes. Yeah,
Like,
so,
I just kept looking at that, being like, oh, why is everyone so tight together? You're gonna crash into each other.
Yeah.
right. So the plan was, okay, we'll open up this hole, even if the logic makes exactly zero sense.
Yeah,
The sense that they have is
for all intents and purposes, you have to think of this as like a naval battle, that they're just
Yeah.
floating
Yeah.
on the surface of the water.
yeah. So they open up a hole and they say, okay, then we'll fly into that hole and attack, and the day will be ours. Ducat sees this and says, they're trying to open up a hole. Let's let them and then jump on them from there because we see what their plan is. Okay, cool. We get it. And then Cisco says, we see we've won and we've opened up the hole, which is just what they want us to think. So let's think that they're going to sabotage us, but let's actually fly in and sabotage them. It makes no sense.
Well, no. So,
I'm
okay,
so confused.
So here's what happened, right? So Ducat recognized what Cisco was trying to do.
Yes.
And he's like, all right, well, we'll do that. But he didn't want to fully commit because he actually wanted to make it a trap. So he ordered only some of the ships to break off. So it still opened the hole, but because he didn't move other ships, that's how Cisco's like, they only moved a few of their ships, so clearly they're not doing what we wanted them to do and losing discipline. This is a tactic that they're employing to trick us. But
So I'm going to
the
use
hole's
it back at
there.
them.
We're only going to get one shot at this, so we just plow through, which they do. But the problem is they're the only ship that made it through that hole.
Yeah,
the plan was that a bunch of other ships would also make it through.
Yeah, so
And then let's fly into the wormhole like a bunch of nuts.
and they may not have gotten away if the Klingons hadn't shown up.
Yeah. And wasn't it also not the whole Klingon fleet? Didn't Gowron
know.
not send them all?
That I'm not clear on.
I got a great idea for the Klingon fleet.
What's that?
Oh.
Instead of joining this battle, why don't you all fly in cloaked to Deep Space fucking Nine and then decloak up fucking Ducat's nose?
That's, yeah.
What?
Speaking of entering orifices, we go into the wormhole, and I wanted to mention, because, that whole fleet disappears.
Yep.
And apparently, in a couple different media, it explains, in air quotes, where they went. There's two different ones. Apparently, there's a quest in Star Trek Online, which I should play one of these days, but it looks like the kind of game that you just lose your life in if you start.
Yeah, well, it's a Memorpaga.
Yeah, like you will never escape if you start playing Star Trek Online. But apparently they're in there in a campaign where they return to the Alpha Quadrant 34 years later and capture DS9. So that's something you have to deal with in the game. So that sounds kind of fun. But in a novel called Unity, there's a whole big plot thing going on with the aliens and these parasite monsters and this alien queen thing. And the way they deal with it, I only read a bit of the synopsis to be like, how the fuck does this relate to Sacrifice of Angels? And the answer is they beat the biggest baddie by asking the wormhole aliens and Cisco to be like, hey, can you guys take care of this? So they send the baddie to this realm outside normal space-time where we see all these Jem'Hadar who've just, appeared and, they don't know how long they've been there because it feels like no time has passed for them. And all of a sudden, someone's coming, so they ready their weapons for battle.
Meanwhile, in the background, the two Doctors Lazarus from TOS are still punching the shit out of each other.
Nice. Good tie-in.
Thank you.
All right, since we want to wrap up, let me see what else I had.
Yes, sorry, listeners. Our tech is being weird.
But Ames has some more, she said.
Multiple false... We've had crashes, so we're going to try to sort of wrap this up.
Oh, here's a good note to make sure I get it in. A story document was floating around in the middle of writing this episode that had a typo, and the typo was called The Sacrifice of Angles. Which they said, oh, that could have been better.
What? No. Bad writers, down. I know you've gone a bit crazy.
Lions and Geigers and bears.
Oh,
Fuck.
no.
Oh, my.
But yeah, overall, even with the Deus Ex and all that, I felt like this was it felt like a satisfying culmination of everything they've been leading up to since the start of the season.
6 episodes.
I think, that the tone at the end was appropriately, it didn't let you get too big into the celebration aspect.
Because they killed Zial?
Yeah, and, they switched to that pretty quickly. Fucking, I can't believe Miles and Julian want to go play the Battle of Britain after this, though. Like,
I didn't need any of their stuff this episode, but also, if they didn't, they'd have no lines.
Yeah,
Well,
they just didn't have much for especially Julian. Like, at least Miles had, like, the mentoring Nog.
yeah.
Ensign now.
But like, just have them be like, I don't know, like, hey, let's go do a kayaking program. Like, something that's not more fighting.
More war? Yikes.
Because that makes no... Like, I feel like both of them right now would like a break. Or like, ask, or like, quick, ask Quark where he put the dartboard, Like, that would have been fine.
Quick, a nap and a wank.
Yeah, like, but the fact that they're immediately like that was... I get they were trying to be like, oh boy, everyone's back. But like, it feels like neither of them would want to jump into that, of all things. Darts, sure. Kayaking, sure. Bond program, maybe even.
Maybe.
But,
But we do actually end with Garrick having a sad over Zial's corpse, which was sad, even if I don't think their character relationship was all that great.
No, well, it's just because I think the way they put it too is like, Kira goes, she did love you, and he's like, and we'll never know why.
Yeah. Because the writers
none
needed
of
her
us
to.
will ever fucking know why.
Well, like, Garrick didn't get it, and it's interesting too, because I think more than anything, that's gonna probably bug him, because he's a guy who finds things out. And it didn't make sense to anyone, really, and yeah, it is weirdly tragic. It was a sad arc that, again, I just did not remember.
Yeah. I mean, they needed someone to die, because if there were no casualties of a main character, or at least a character that we've seen a bunch of times, after all this battling, it wouldn't be realistic at all.
Oh, yeah, no, and I definitely felt it. I was like, she was gonna be an artist and shit.
Oh, it was definitely sad, but again, like, I feel like they beefed her up so much just in these 6 episodes so they could kill her for us.
Yeah, it would have been different, like, if they had killed Rom, for example.
I'd been fine with that. I know they were also, that when they were bouncing around names, they were like, who do we kill off? Nog? Garrick? What's that going to mean if we do any of these things? And I guess they decided on Zial.
Yeah, because Nog and Garrick, they have some real great stories for those characters.
I couldn't deal if they killed Nog either, because then, aside from Nog being gone, whom I love, then we'd have to listen to Rom be sad about it every episode for the rest of eternity, and more Rom, I'm just not into it.
I mean, that's the thing, though. Like, I actually think they could have killed off Rom with very little impact on the story of the show.
And I think it still would have been like, because you'd have been like, they're never gonna kill Nog. It's like he's a fun comic reliefy, like,
he just made Ensign.
I'm sorry, I meant Rom.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's fun comic reliefy, but he's also had this arc and this and that. But you can also feel like, yeah, sure, it's concluded.
Yeah, and I feel like we see it felt between Lita and Quark in very interesting ways.
Yeah,
and
Lita,
Nog.
Quark,
and O'Brien.
O'Brien liked him.
Yeah,
like he had a lot of friends on the station.
Mourn
would have mourned him.
Well, that's because
dearly.
the journey was truly the friends we made along the way.
And you were going to see how that would have,
Garrick and Kira having a sad, but
and Gul Dukat flipping the fuck out.
Which, admittedly, that could be important down the line.
Mad Dukat is my favorite.
I just turned to Chris and was like, "Holy shit! Is this how it ends for Gul Dukat? Jesus!"
Oh no.
Yeah, no, that's what Chris said too, but I don't know anything else except
wait.
no.
Can't
so
fucking
don't
wait.
tell.
Yeah.
But I did like that at the end we got to have Nog be like, "I'm your fucking boss, Dad." Bazinga.
Yeah, that would be if they had killed Rom. We see how that would have then driven Nog's character.
Yeah.
It's interesting because he just sort of joined Starfleet to better himself, and he's now unfortunately found himself joining Starfleet in the midst of a war, and so that's that'll affect you. Figure the character, the sort of how he will develop through his life as an officer and things like that.
I think it was O'Brien's line when he shares that he's been promoted to ensign. He says, "Oh, they must be desperate," and he's like, "Oh yeah, totally."
Well, yeah, that's the thing.
Very.
It's like massive desperation. it kind of goes back to like towards the end of World War II when the Germans were just conscripting, elderly people and preteen boys.
Yeah.
And just basically anybody that could carry a weapon was getting pulled in.
It is interesting, though. It's clearly some kind of special field commission because his pip is not brass.
Oh, it's the black.
Like the junior grade and the junior grade lieutenant pip.
Yeah, I think that's like there's got to be like a lieutenant ensign,
yeah,
not quite full ensign yet.
Yeah, it's like because it's like a field commission, clearly.
Yeah, but I wonder though, like, is he just done now with Starfleet Academy?
Because, I mean, this is a hell of a final exam.
I guess, but at the same time, I feel as though there's more to Starfleet Academy than learning how to be in a battle.
No, I mean, that's like I was saying, that's normally true, but now he's, just like how the chief enlisted in war, he's going through the academy during wartime, so
yeah,
it is his entree into Starfleet is very different than a lot of people's.
Yeah, but is he going to ultimately be as well-rounded of an officer as other Starfleet officers? Just because
there it is. Thanks, Ames.
He didn't actually end up having much of a academy education. Like, he was only at the academy for 1 year before he got his detached assignment to Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, no,
it was like 6 months,
which was like a work study job, basically.
Yeah, it's an interesting thought experiment to imagine how he would end up because of his very different experience. Like that thing, there'll be that whole sort of generation. It's the classes of these sets of years who all graduated into wartime instead of peacetime.
Yeah,
and there would definitely be that sort of weird division in 20 years, people in Starfleet, it's like, oh yeah, I was already in the fleet when the war started. I graduated into the war. I graduated after, like.
Well, we see this is interesting, right? Because we have Picard now, and we can actually see how fucked up the Federation is.
Yeah.
In 20 years' time-ish.
Yep.
And I wonder how much of that has to do with the types of, like the Dominion War obviously is a huge thing. The Borg stuff is huge.
Yep. And then what happens that sort of kicks off the events of Picard.
Yeah.
Like they just had these rapid fire major issues.
Yeah. So, I mean, really, ultimately, it all boils down to Rick Berman here. No matter how you slice it, Rick Berman just totally fucked up the Federation for generations.
Yeah.
Whoopsie.
And on that note.
All right, well, thank you for joining us for another episode of A Star to Steer Her By. If you like what you heard and you'd like to hear more, you can find us on SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google and Apple Podcasts, Spotify, right? You can also find us and interact with random things that we post on Facebook by searching for A Star to Steer Her By. You can find us on Tumblr and Twitter at SSHB Podcast. You can find our website at sshbpodcast.com, where you can find many types of things that we've written over the years and years. How many years? 4 or 5?
4.5.
So 5 this year. Damn. Including like fanfics and articles we've written about aesthetic things that we like. We will also be back next week, but we're doing a little something different. We're going to be discussing film in another 10 forward. We're going to be doing Starship Troopers next week.
More war!
And this is more Verhoeven, right?
It is. Yeah.
So I'm excited. I've never seen this.
One. Classic.
This is one I had seen both RoboCop and Total Recall, but not in a long time. Starship Troopers I have straight up not seen.
Oh, interesting.
You guys are in for a treat.
So, yeah, I've heard a lot about it.
Hauser.
So, unfortunately,
really?
I do know certain things, but I've not seen it.
Great.
I don't think there's anything to spoil in it, because I could just tell you the whole story, and it's still going to be fascinating to watch. So
yeah.
Well, don't tell me, but I'm looking forward to seeing it. I think that'll be fun.
Like, the thing is with that movie, and we'll talk way more about this next week.
I'm so excited.
It's I think a lot of people went to it expecting it to be a serious movie and didn't have like Verhoeven context in mind.
So they weren't ready for all the people that get shot in the dick.
Well, just not just getting shot in the dick, but like just the whole satirical aspect. Just like with RoboCop, I think it's a lot of people lost. It gets lost on a lot of people that just don't know.
I'm not
Well, the
trying
other
to
thing is-
be. Go ahead.
It's based on a novel by Heinlein, who I think was very much oorah, not
Oh,
satire.
yeah, that's the thing. The original, the source material is
material.
very much serious, jingoistic, rah-rah bullshit. And I think people saw the movie and are like, wow, this is horrible.
Yeah, they did not get that. In fact, they were completely upending the source material, which is wonderful, because fuck that bullshit.
I don't mean to generalize, but I feel like Americans don't really get satire
We're pretty bad at
in
it.
general. Like I don't, and I'm not like making a judgment. I just feel like I don't feel like we get it.
I mean,
as a people.
just go
I don't know
read
why.
the Babylon Bee website. People think that's satire.
Babylon Bee.
God. It's like the right-wing answer to The Onion, and it's bad.
Oh no.
Yeah,
It's not
Because-
funny.
Boy.
Oh god.
Well, again,
Like
because
it could, like I could see, because I could see an actual satirical right-wing not like making fun of the right wing, but making satire from a right-wing perspective could be good potentially, but they're just bad at it.
No, they're terrible. Like, conservative political humor generally isn't funny because it tends to boil down to, like,
Liberals bad.
and punching down, and it's just like...
Yeah, I mean, well, that's actually what it is. It's like, yeah, we're just gonna do culture war shit, and
Yeah, and it's just like...
mm,
this is uncomfortable.
like, no, I mean, there's lots of, like, you can make fun of liberals for a lot of
Oh,
things.
yeah! They
Like-
are the worst!
And, like, do that. But
The Democrats suck!
like,
Well,
but just
like,
like the
having-
straight up like racism, like racist dog whistles and transphobia only go so far, guys. Come on.
Yeah, like, there are totally legit ways to mock the left, but they keep falling back into the, like you said, the culture war shit.
Yeah.
Well, and like I said, they finally have the majority in the Senate. What's their new excuse going to be for not getting anything done?
Yeah.
But there you go. There's the Dems. So yes, join us next week for Super Troopers, Starship
God
Super
damn it, every time.
Troopers.
It's like with me and Paw Patrol.
I've actually never seen Super Troopers either.
I haven't either, but it's supposed to be really funny, and it's where that right meow thing comes from.
I could
Yes.
imagine Super Starship Troopers being the SNES game.
Yeah,
adaptation.
there we go.
Same. All right. Well, thank you again for joining us. As always, I have been Caitlin.
I have been Jake.
This has been Chris.
And this is always Ames.
We'll see you next week. I don't have any rules of acquisition. Bad eyes, good hearing, whatever the
Good
fuck he
teeth.
said.
Ferengi
Great.
teeth.
Great teeth. Bad teeth.
Good tea. Nice house.
There it is.
Yeah.